y'all? I'm here dancing to the intro. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Roxiie, with Roxiie Says, and we're going to talk about it. Let me just start by saying this. Every single time I start a Married at First Sight episode, I started with a hope, a prayer, and a dream. And every single episode, I am disappointed and pissed off. What is wrong with y'all? Everybody. The people married, the experts, what's the problem? You know what? Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Roxiie, with Roxiie Says, and we're going to talk about it today. We are reviewing Married at First Sight Season 18, Episode 11, okay? Let's get right into this review, but before we do, please do not forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, baby. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you are made aware every time I post a new video. Okay. Let's just get right into this review because y'all almost didn't get a video. These people pissed me off so bad. So as the episode opens up, we see She's doing a little selfie confessional. She's in the bed. She's all alone. And she says that she has tried reaching out to Akechi multiple times. And I had to hit rewind because I was like, I know. I know that I didn't hear what I just heard. You mean to tell us after that dinner, after that dinner, and you stormed out and you came back home and you saw that he moved out, you were calling him? Is everything okay? You're gonna make me cry, girl. I told you in the last review that if I see you in the next episode trying to have a conversation with Akechi, I have nothing else for you, sis. And I know you be in the comments. I know you be in the lives. Hey, boo, thank you so much. I love having you there. And I am hoping, and I'm sure that you have learned and grown from this experience. We're just now watching something that took place in your past, right? Yeah, I know. But season 18, episode 11, girl, I'm done with you. I am so done with you. He treated you like crap. He moved out of the apartment and you're still calling him? After he already ignored multiple calls and text messages from you before y'all even got to the dinner, it's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay? And to find out that you still haven't had enough because you still want to have a conversation with him and the experts, girl, next slide, all right? So next we see Carla. She's having a little lunch date at her apartment with one of her homegirls, and she's telling her about how structured and analytical that Juan is, which is very different from the go-with-the-flow lifestyle and mentality that she has had all this time. And she feels like she can definitely benefit from Juan and his structuredness rubbing off on her because she has some business goals that she would like to achieve. Remember, she also said this to Juan's friends at the wedding. But Carla, you are going to have to put that work in, okay? And Juan is the type to let you know when you are slipping. And we're going to see that in a bit. So next we see Pastor Cal. He's sitting and he's having a conversation with Akechi because he heard that Akechi been showing his ass all week and at that dinner as well. So he says that he moved out because he didn't feel comfortable in his own home. And Akechi also tells Pastor Cal about wanting to initiate sex. And he feels like would have done that with anybody, all right? He doesn't feel like the fact that they're married plays any part in her behavior. So now on top, listen, I'm getting into both and Akechi in this review, but in this conversation, not only was Akechi calling aggressive, now he's implying that she's just ready to give it up to any and everybody. That's what he's implying. And he also claims that he doesn't understand her wanting to move in so fast because she wanted him to move in shortly after they came back from the honeymoon. Akechi, out of everyone on this show, you should understand this concept the most, right? Shouldn't you understand how this goes the most? Didn't you chase this damn show down for 3 seasons? Huh? You know that this is an expedited process. Why did you come on this show and you're like, oh, everything's moving so fast? Like, you signed up. Calm down, Roxiie. Calm down, girl. It's gonna be okay. Calm down, girl. These people piss me off all episode. But Akechi, why come on a show that you know the process of and then act shocked when someone wants to go with the actual flow of the process that's intended? It is supposed to be a fast track to marriage. It is not the same as a regular marriage. And you know that. And if you didn't want that, why did you bring your ass on the show? Oh, because you only came here to sell a book. Okay, got it. Then he says that makes him feel small, like he's not enough and he doesn't have enough. You felt like that all on your own, sir. I almost called you sis. You felt like that all on your own because since the honeymoon, you were the one who kept describing your living situation as meager. Remember before y'all went to each other's apartment and you was in the bed like, oh, you know, I live a little meager life. I have a little apartment. You've been feeling like that. So stop it, sir. You feel like an extra in her life because you aren't satisfied with where you are in yours. Baby, when a man feels like he doesn't have enough, he will take that shit out on you every single time because he has to bring you down to his level in some way, shape, or form. Then within the same breath of saying that he has never disrespected he admits to calling her an asshole. And he's like, well, if you acting like an asshole, I'm going to call you an asshole. And Pastor Cal was like, and Akechi is like, then Pastor Cal, he starts talking about emotions and perceptions and communications and vulnerability. And I'm like, why are these experts still encouraging these people to continue this? Why didn't Pastor Cal get in Akechi's ass for calling this woman out of her name? That is not cool. They don't need to have a last conversation. There doesn't need to be any closure. Hang this shit up and hang it up now, please. So next we see Madison. She is all by herself and she lets us know that her and Alan, they went to a bar for a little date night. And when they got back home, she says that Alan came to her and he was like, I'm going to go sleep by my house, all right? Madison tells him that he shouldn't be driving because he was drinking. And Alan responds and he says, it's my life, right? And the way that he was talking definitely made me believe in this scene in particular, because they're going to discuss it a bit more. But in this scene in particular, the way that Alan answered made me feel like he did have some liquor up in him. And I said this in previous videos, when Alan drinks, he has a little bit more confidence. He has a little bit more bite when he speaks to Madison, when he got that liquor up in him. And the way that he was talking to her in this scene, pretty matter of fact, like, girl, you ain't gonna tell me what to do, made me feel like, yeah, he had a little bit of, liquor in his system. And I don't believe for a second that Alan went to a bar and didn't have a drink. But we're going to see Allison get a bit deeper with that conversation later on in the episode, all right? So next we see David, and he's meeting with Dr. Pepper, and Michelle is running a bit late. And he tells her that things have been a little rocky regarding their unbalanced lifestyle and communication. And Dr. Pepper lets him know that Michelle's issues aren't really about him, but it's about deeply rooted fears that she has from her childhood. And David says that he just wants Michelle to let him in. And I'm like, Michelle, can you just dye your hair brown so David could dump your ass and we can get this over with too? Go to the salon, dye your hair brown so he can see you and be like, what the hell? This is not what I wanted. And he could dump you right on the spot. Okay. Put us all out of our misery, please. Because at this point, I don't know what it's going to take for David to leave this woman. And I don't know what it's going to take for Michelle to leave David. So when Michelle arrives, they let Dr. Pepper know that their communication has improved a bit. And Dr. Pepper wants them to give each other more details about their childhood. So David says that he went to private school, which was mostly Caucasian, and he felt like an outcast. And I found that to be very interesting. And I'm wondering if, because none of the little white girls in school wanted to go out with him, his wife being a white woman, only a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, would signify that he has finally made it in some way and he finally got the girl that he couldn't get back when he was in private school. Yeah, I wish you asked him about that, Dr. Pepper. So Michelle speaks about growing up very poor. Her parents divorced when she was very young and they struggled her entire childhood. And she had to eat discounted lunch at school and everyone knew it because she had a different color ticket. So it was very embarrassing for her. And we know that children can be hella mean, right? But it has shaped who she is now and she doesn't want to go back to that struggle. And we see David thank Michelle for letting him in. But David, remember, you also thanked her in a previous episode for letting you in. And y'all are still on the same shit in this episode. You just gonna be thanking her every week and nothing's gonna change? Child, next Michelle says that she feels like David is 10 years behind her when it comes to lifestyle and maturity. But Dr. Pepper encourages her to assume that those things are easily changeable. And David agrees and he says that he's not where he wants to be. And he says that if he gets a promotion, he'll be able to one day make as much as Michelle does. And he also knows that he doesn't have much in savings. And him and Michelle nodded at that, right? He was like, yeah, I don't have as much in savings. And I was like, wait, hold up. Hold up, David. In the beginning of this season, right, when y'all were getting married and you said that you live at home with your parents, but you're fine because you have 3 jobs. Remember that? So you got 3 jobs and you still can't hit what Michelle is making? Did I hear that correctly? Also, in the last episode, you said with the snap of your fingers, when you were at the bowling alley with your 2 friends, Tom and Tom, you said that with the snap of your finger, you can change your living situation, okay? But when you said that you could move out at the snap of a finger and buy a home at the snap of a finger, now it's giving 1 to 2 years. David, were you lying this entire time? Because that's what it's giving. And based on this conversation, I'm assuming that Michelle did ask for some proof of the finances and she saw it. And you both agreed, the both of y'all agreed that the finances on your end are not up to par. Would you even be able to get an apartment in Michelle's building? Same layout, same bedroom, bathroom, on your own? Would you even be able to do that? It's not looking like it, David. It's looking like you lied. So next we see Alan and Madison. They meet up, and Alan wants to make it clear that he was more than able to drive home last night, and he wanted to go home and make sure that he had a good night's sleep because he had something very important to do the next day. And he admits that he could have went about it differently, but he knows his limits, and he only had a beer, and it was just a 15-minute drive, and it was a straight shot home down the highway. And he said that if he was inebriated, he would not have driven. And they'll have to agree to disagree. Listen, I hate drunk drivers. Okay? I don't really drink. All my friends know when we go out, I'm gonna be the girl. I'm gonna be the girl at the bar who's not drinking. If someone sends me a drink, I'm gonna give it to my friend. Like I'm that person. I feel like this conversation was a mix of trauma response, underestimation, denial. So their miscommunication lies where Alan feels like he was good enough to drive. Madison says that it doesn't matter. He still had more than 2 drinks and he could have hurt someone. But Alan says that he doesn't like being told what he's allowed to and not allowed to do. So now we see MM, and she's meeting with Dr. Pia, and she's telling her that Akechi isn't ready for marriage. And she's been calling and texting and she still wants to see him, and she still wants to have a conversation with him. But she wants the experts to be there to assist her with this conversation because she says that she's worried that he may be dismissive and nonchalant. I'm like, that's all you worried about? You ain't afraid he gonna call you another name, girl? So Dr. Pia finally asks MM the golden question. He has treated you poorly, and he has called you out of your name already one time. Why do you still want to be with him? Thank you, Dr. Pia. That's a great question, sis. And MM says, because you know what? There's a chance that he hasn't realized that there are just defense mechanisms for him. That's why he's treating me like trash, because that's just a defense mechanism for him. And I want to help him with that. Girl, if you don't get the entire up out of here, I can't take this shit anymore. I really can't. Because at this point, you are now volunteering to be his crash test dummy until he figures himself out. You should never want to be that, sis. For anyone, under any circumstance. I don't give a damn what they got going on. So Dr. Pia wants to say that it's very hurtful when you called me an asshole. And I'm like, Dr. Pia, you want to say that to Akechi? You don't think that he knows that? You don't think that he was trying to hurt her when he called her that? What the hell is going on? Then tells Dr. Pia that Akechi started getting upset when she would ask him to expound on his answers to her questions because his answers were usually a lot of fluff. Now, I've been said that in previous reviews, and I also said that on the live that I did with Tammy Talk. Shout out to Tammy. This man speaks in riddles. So, of course, she is going to have to ask him for some clarification, because if she's like, do you love me? How do you feel about this relationship? And he's talking about the moon and the stars, she is going to ask for some clarification. It is necessary, because what the hell are you talking about? Then tells Dr. Pia that Akechi doesn't know her well enough to call her aggressive. And Dr. Pia is like, but you know him well enough to want to call him your husband. And was like, well, he is my husband. That's a fact. I was like, okay, she didn't do all that. Okay, she didn't do all of that. But she was like, well, he is my husband. That's a fact. That's a fact. He's my husband. Okay? Listen, from that comment right there, that confirmed for me that didn't give a damn about how she was being treated by Akechi. She just wanted to be able to say, my husband. I got a husband. Because the pride that she still had in calling that man her husband, I was like, girl, the guy who just called you an asshole, walked out on you on dinner, embarrassed you, moved the hell out, is ignoring your text, and you still talking about my husband? And Dr. Pia called her out. Dr. Pia was like, ooh, you got a little spicy with me. Is that how you speak to him? Valid question, Dr. Pia, because we know that Akechi is a spicy little thing too. I could just imagine their apartment, spice all over the place, full of cayenne pepper, paprika, curry powder, all up in there. Just spicy. And Dr. Pia has the nerve to encourage to meet Akechi where he's at. And I'm like, Dr. Pia, where's that? Should she go home and say, what up, asshole? Because that's where he's at. That's where he's at with it. I'm just so irritated that they're still encouraging these two to stay together and to make it work. That shit is crazy to me. So next we see Camille and Tom. They meet up with Dr. Pepper, and she compliments him on his little earring, and she also compliments him on how accommodating he has been in their relationship. I'm still waiting for Tom to tell Camille to put on some 6-inch heels, okay, so that he could see her do a little strut for him. But I guess we'll see. So Dr. Pepper wants them to talk about their upbringing, and Tom lets her know about how important his father was to him and how he taught him about accountability and to learn from his mistakes. But after his dad passed away, it was very hard for him to do that because his dad wasn't there to help him through things, and his dad had always been his best friend. So Camille really appreciates Tom for opening up because it gives her a bit of context on what makes him who he is. We also learned that Camille's parents separated when she was only 10 years old, and she was going back and forth between her mom and her dad's house. And it made things very scary and unstable for her, especially at such a young age. So because of that, she had to go into the protective role for her sister, ultimately pretty much becoming the parentified child. And that really hit Camille in this conversation. She starts crying because she is coming to terms with the reality that she lost a piece of her childhood while having to care for her sister. And in caring for everyone else, she wasn't able to care for herself. And as we know, many children go through that every single day. We have preteens cooking dinner for their two younger siblings while both of their parents are at work, or while one of their parents is at work, right? Or getting them ready for school in the mornings. Responsibilities that should never be put on any child, but that's what happens sometimes, right? And I know that that is extremely difficult for any child to deal with, and those effects stay with them well into their adulthood, all right? But it was really nice to see how Tom and Camille handled each other's vulnerabilities. They touch and caress each other. I just love that. And Dr. Pepper gives them an exercise of writing a letter to their younger selves so that they can connect and reflect on that difficult time during their childhoods. So next we see Carla and Juan. They go on a little sushi date. Child, Carla had on a jeans jacket and Jonathan had on a shirt with no collar. I said, child, y'all better not let Michelle see y'all because she will tear that restaurant up. How dare you go eat sushi in anything other than a ball gown? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So the food comes and Jonathan starts asking Carla about what? Work, all right? And she pulls out a little book. She's ready. She has her book and her pen, and she says that she wants to pick Juan's brain and she wants to get his help with her business plan. So she says that she wants a one-chair salon. This is her dream. A one-chair salon where she'd be the only stylist, okay? And then after hours, she can make it a little Pilates bar or something and a sound healing spot. And before Jonathan even opened his mouth, I was like, girl, you're not thinking big enough. You got to think big. I was like, what? Just one booth? You only want one booth? You want to be on your feet all day in a salon forever? You don't want to have a salon with multiple chairs, multiple stylists, right? Where they're paying you a booth fee, they paying you rent, pushing products for you, and you don't even have to be in the salon. You don't even have to be there. You can be somewhere else chilling, watching them on the camera while you drinking an expensive fruit juice. Wouldn't you want to do that instead? And just like I thought, Jonathan was like, you know what? Actually, I think that you should get more clients, more chairs, build clientele, expand, and eventually franchise. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm open to that. And then he's like, all right, so what's up with your website, your LLC? You could start doing some subcontracting on the website. And he starts asking her all of these other questions. And he tells her that right now she should be spending all of her free time creating content to grow her business. Now, from the way that it looks and sounds, Carla apparently has a whole lot of free time. And clearly, Juan wants her to use it wisely. Now, content creation would be an amazing way for Carla to put herself out there at no added expense, right? So Juan is giving her some really good advice, and they start building out timelines and all that. And I do love that Carla is receptive, and Juan seems like he really wants to help, but you can also see how flustered Carla was during this conversation. And I said it previously, Juan is going to be coming home with a checklist like, hey, girl, what's up? I ain't seen no posts on Instagram today. I ain't seen no posts on Facebook. I ain't seen no posts on YouTube. What the hell you been doing all day? Okay? I definitely see Juan doing that. Did you update the website? Did you book any more clients? Which is the structure that Carla needs and she claims she wants. And Carla is acting very gung-ho about it now, but I don't know if this is going to be a conversation that Carla is going to want to have every day, right? Coming home and being checked on, because she already let us know that she can't be managed. That's why she left her last job. She got fired. But yeah, she can't be managed, okay? But this relationship is new, right? This relationship is new. So she wants to impress Juan. She wants to show him that she has good business acumen. So she's going to take everything in with a smile, but I don't know how gung-ho she's going to be when she sees how much of a self-starter she has to be in order to get things done. I'm hoping that with the help of Juan, she will be able to turn things around and really get her business going. That would be amazing. And I do wish her the best, but I just hope that her enthusiasm lasts and it's not just something that's fleeting or she's like pretending, right? But aside from the business, I also want to know, Juan, did you compliment Carla today? Did you touch her? Did you try to hold her hand? Did you make any progress in your displays of affection, because you can't just be all business and no play. Okay, Jonathan? So next we see Camille and Tom, and they're discussing their meeting with Dr. Pepper, and he lets her know that although he doesn't like to see her cry, he loves seeing her be more vulnerable because it builds intimacy and it helps him to be more open with her in return. And Camille realizes that she has used compartmentalization as a coping mechanism because it allows her to completely shut down her emotions and not always have to feel her feelings or show her true feelings to other people. But it is something that she says that she's going to continue to work on. And Tom really appreciates this because he feels that so far into their relationship, he's been the one who's been showing more emotion. But I really like that both of them are taking a step back, right? They're taking a step back in the relationship and they're vocalizing all of the ways that they can do better, not only for themselves, but for one another as well. I really, really like that. These two are becoming my favorite couple, child. So decision day is 24 days away, and we see Alan. He's all by himself, and he is expressing his frustration with all of the changes that he has had to make just for Madison to like him. And child, she don't even like you. But he says that he has changed his jokes, his style of dress, and all of these other things. And now Madison is trying to put him on a 2-drink limit. Alan said, oh, hell no, I need my liquor. Alan was like, look, I will change how I joke. I will change how I dress, but you will not tell me how much I can drink. That is where he draws the line, all right? So now he's like, you have a lot to say about what you don't like about me. Girl, what do you like? What do you like? And I'm like, well, gee willikers, Alan, what a great question. Unfortunately, it's a question that you should have asked way before this moment. But he thinks that now it's time to meet with the experts to talk about it. So he about to snitch on Madison. So next we see Michelle. She's going shopping for David. And I guess the person who's helping her with the styling is one of her friends, because we know that Michelle already doesn't like the way that David dresses. And I'm like, okay, Michelle, so you're shopping for the man. Are you staying with him? You're staying with him. Yeah? Because in the meeting with Dr. Pepper, it looks like you were able to take a look at his finances. You both confirmed that his savings were not where you wanted it to be, and it's going to take him 1 to 2 years to be able to move. So it seems like you now have a better understanding of where he is financially, and you didn't run for the hills. And now you're going shopping because you want to change up his style. Now, I don't know if production set this whole little thing up, but in my opinion, if you're not staying with him, then who gives a damn what he wears? It won't be any of your concern in 24 days, right? Okay, I guess we'll see. So David, he finally arrives and he does a little fashion show. And Michelle says, yes, I can see Drake wearing this. I can see Travis Kelce wearing this. And David was like, oh, well, I got to ask you, do you find these guys attractive? And Michelle was like, yeah, sure do. Michelle was like, yeah, I do. And in my opinion, the reason why Dave asked Michelle that was to see where he compares, right? And I think that her naming those two guys, in addition to Michelle saying that one of the shirts that David put on, she liked it because it made him look slimmer, right? I think that that made him feel some type of way because he's a little larger than both of those guys. But David says that he actually likes the outfits that he tried on and he doesn't only like them to please Michelle. And right after that, he lets out a little curse word. And I'm like, damn, David, you really can't turn it off. Your friends, Tom and Tom, they said you can easily change it. You said that you can easily change it, but it is apparent that you have a hard time not cursing. It's very apparent. Very apparent. And Michelle, she laughs it off with her friend and she laughs it off with David. But I would not be surprised if in the next episode, Michelle is in the office crying and telling the experts that David done cursed her friends out the other day. I wouldn't be surprised. All right. So next we see Allison. They're meeting up with Dr. Pepper and Alan is telling her all of the things that he has tried to change and tailor about himself so that Madison can like him more. And he says it's a bunch of little things. Just a bunch of little tiny things, but after a while, that shit adds up, right? And he is like, is this relationship worth losing himself over? And Madison says that she loves his effort and she loves his thoughtfulness. The same two things that she says about him in every damn episode. She says that shit over and over and over again. And even Alan is tired of it because he's like, all right, that's cool, but there's more to marriage than, oh, he's just a good guy. He's just a nice guy. And he doesn't feel like Madison is attracted to him at all. And he doesn't want to force it because he sees how easy it is for her to be affectionate and have fun with everyone else. Alan says with everyone else. Madison, she loose with it. She all over the place. She hugging on people. And you know who he said in particular? He was like, you know, when you hug David, I was like, even Alan peeps how comfortable you are with David, Maddie. Girl, tell me, were you the one that David was texting talking about he can't wait to eat you? Was David the one feeding you that ice cream in that preview, huh? Was We gonna find out sooner or later, child. We gonna find out sooner or later, but Alan is over it, okay? And he flat out asks her, is there anything that you find attractive about me? Anything at all? And baby, the way that Madison started stuttering, she's like, well, that's a weird question. Yeah, it's very weird when the answer is no. Answer the question, girl. And remember in my last review when they were playing that little stupid twister game, right? And Madison said that she did have some thoughts of Alan sexually, but she didn't want to elaborate. And I was like, yeah, the reason why she doesn't want to elaborate is because the thoughts are not flattering thoughts. They're not they're not good thoughts. They're not thoughts that Alan would want to hear. I already knew, but this moment definitely confirms that for me all over again. Because Madison, you know damn well that is not a weird question. That's why all you can talk about is how thoughtful he is and the effort that he shows, because you don't like anything else about him. And Dr. Pepper tells Madison that all Alan is looking for is a little bit of validation, which is interesting because in the last episode, Madison said that she wanted better compliments from Alan, right? He says, oh, you look nice in your dress, or you look beautiful. But when she gives examples of the compliments that she gives Alan, they're pretty much on the same level. She says that she tells him that he looks handsome, and she would compliment him more if there was more to compliment. I said, well, damn. I said, well, damn, but Alan doesn't really believe her compliments because he says that he knows that she's not feeling him like that. So when she compliments him, he doesn't really believe it, right? Alan, you got your answer, okay? She don't like you. She's not attracted to you. And Madison, you know that you don't see it for this man. And I know that when we did the live, people were in the chat saying that there's a pretty hefty fine for people who leave the show early. But I'm kind of concerned that the experts refuse to acknowledge that the majority of these relationships aren't going anywhere, right? So I understand the couples just staying together, going with the flow, like I'm just here so I don't get fined, but they know that they don't like each other like that. So I don't even understand why they're putting all of this extra effort into this thing. And all the experts keep doing is sending them back home to play Uno and Twister and Goldfish and shit, like that's gonna help. It's not going to help. These people don't like each other. But we get more information on Alan's childhood, which he says that he blocked out from the time period when his parents were going through a very bitter custody battle. He remembers running up to the judge during one of the court dates because no one was listening to him, and it caused a lot of family trauma. Madison also speaks about the argument that they had with him drinking and how it made her feel because of her mom. And she said that once he knows more information about her childhood, he will understand why she felt as strongly as she did. But drinking is something that she's a bit more sensitive to because of what she experienced with her mom. She says that her childhood felt very unsafe and lonely, and she also blocked out a lot of her childhood because during her childhood, she experienced her mom saying some very horrible things to her that she has never forgotten. And I can only imagine how that feels. I get so irritated and disgusted when I hear people cursing at their children. That shit is just wild to me. And you see the effects that it has. Children do not forget. They grow into adults and they remember how you treated them as a child. So I'm sorry that Madison went through that. Sorry that Alan went through that. I'm sorry for all the children all over the world who have to deal with some shitty ass parents. That really pisses me off, all right? So Alan says that he does want to make Madison feel safe and secure. And Dr. Pepper tells him that since he knows that drinking and driving is a trigger for Madison and she has trauma around it, Alan is going to have to be a bit more conscious of it when he does it, okay? And that's where that conversation ends. So we are back with Tom and Camille, and they're having a little drinky drink before they read those letters to their younger selves to each other. So Camille tells her younger self to not fret about the family issues and failed relationships that she'll go through because those experiences will shape her, right? And child, when she turns 32 years old, she's going to marry a great man, and if she works hard at the relationship, it will be something beautiful. And Tom wrote a letter to himself in his 20s, and he tells himself that although he will experience things that are hurtful and confusing, it'll all be okay because these events will shape him as well, and to never give up because he will overcome all of his obstacles. Then we see them discuss their childhood a little bit more, and Tom asks Camille if there's anything from her childhood that triggers her now, and she says that her triggers come mostly from her adult life, right? With dating men who would do really nice things for her just to get with her, and then they would flip it and show their true colors. And she says that she appreciates how Tom has shown up because she doesn't feel like what he's doing is an act. And Tom promises to continue to show up for Camille as his true self every single day. All right. So next we see Juan and Carla takes him to a Pilates class because she wants to let him into her world. And she wants to show him how serious she is about Pilates and starting her business. And child, Jonathan just cannot wait to hit that little gong when they're finished. Juan is such a little child at heart, but I really love that he's showing interest in what Carla also loves. So next, they pick some crystals, and Juan picks the crystals that helps you achieve patience and sensitivity. We know he needs some of that. And Carla's crystals provide energy and strength. And Carla starts telling Juan more about crystals and his third eye, and she asks him what his superpowers are. And Juan said that his superpower is making people laugh. And when he asks Carla, she says that her superpower is her intuition and helping people heal their trauma through alternative ways like Pilates. So that's why she wants to build a business around helping others. Doing hair makes people look and feel beautiful on the outside, but Pilates helps people to feel beautiful on the inside. And I must say that Juan is being very encouraging, motivating, and supportive, and he sees how passionate Carla is about the things that she loves and about wanting to now turn it into a business. He says that he loves the ambition that he's seeing right now, and he supports her 100%. You can see how much more comfortable Carla is during this conversation than the one she was in, the other day when they were discussing the business part of things. But I do think that this was a beautiful date. And I love how open Juan was to learning about Carla's passions. Now we just got to work on that affection. Okay, Juanathan? So, child, next we see MM. She's in a confessional and she's talking about how she's about to go sit down with the experts and have a meeting with her husband. The fact that she's still calling him that, I'm like, girl, I would be like, that man. Yeah, that man, I'm about to meet with the experts and that man over there. Yeah, because she's not disgusted enough with him for me. She's not. And it's pissing me off. But she's looking forward to speaking with him because she wants him to feel supported and not attacked. Girl, he don't give a damn if you feel supported and not attacked. So if Johnny had 5 apples, he don't give a damn how you feel, but you want to make sure that he feels supported and not attacked. Okay, girl. So next we see Akechi. He's having his own little phone confessional, and he says that he might have done some wrong. But any wrong that he has done, it's only a reaction. It's only a reaction to what was done to him, right? Because he don't act a fool out of nowhere. We're going to get a little bit more into that in this next conversation, but there might be a little. I might have to side with Akechi. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's just, you see, just a little bit. Just a little bit. But side note, why when y'all do these phone confessionals, why y'all hold y'all phones like that? Y'all don't know how to hold your phone when you... Tom don't know how to run and y'all don't know how to hold your phones. Okay, but Akechi says that he knows that there needs to be some type of resolution, but he says that having the same conversation over and over again is not easy for him, all right? So, child, next we see MM. Child, why when MM walked in, Pastor Cal was like, oh, you look good, girl. I said, Pastor Cal. And you see, some of y'all were laughing when I said that it might have been Pastor Cal who was feeding Madison that ice cream in the preview. Y'all was laughing, but it very well could have been him, okay? The way he giving these compliments. But MM says that she wants to enter this conversation with an open mind and an open heart. And the experts, they just love that, all right? So Akechi shows up looking stank as usual, just stank all the time. He greets everyone but MM as usual. And when Pastor Cal asks him how he's doing, he lies and he says that he's good as usual. I feel like I'm having deja vu at this point. And in MM's confessional, she's saying that she hopes that he says that he's sorry and he wants to work it out and he's willing to put in some effort. MM, what part of the behavior that he's shown you would make you think that that is what's about to come out of this man's mouth? What? So MM says that their disconnect started at the housewarming when Akechi called her aggressive. And then when they saw Dr. P together, that was the very first time that he told her that she has been making unwanted sexual advances towards him, which translated to her as, you're doing too much, right? And Akechi makes it clear that that is the exact message that he was trying to send. Girl, you are doing too much, because he says that he wasn't comfortable and he was just trying to protect the sanctity of the marriage, a sentiment that he did not share with MM, right? He didn't share with MM, but she was supposed to just magically understand that, right? So a lot of assumptions were being made on both sides because of their lack of communication. So Pastor Cal says that for the 18 years that they've been doing this, whenever people try to slow down the process, it never works out because this is not meant to be a traditional marriage. But Akechi, you knew that already. Because you auditioned 72 times to be on this show, okay? Then they start going back and forth about the issue of MM asking questions. And Pastor Cal says that Akechi leads with his heart and MM leads with reason. And since she thinks that way, she took on the mindset of, well, if he really wanted me, he would want to sleep with me, right? But the way that Akechi is that he can't express who he is through words, right? He needs the person to experience him. That is the artist within him. So they see things very differently, and they need to kind of switch hats, right? They need to have an understanding of how the other person is, and then they need to take a piece from each other in order to be able to better communicate. And I really love the analogy that Pastor Cal used. I think that it was a great one. I think that it describes them both very well. And I feel like two people who truly wanted to be together, two people who truly wanted to be together and were actually trying to get through a rough patch would be able to take that analogy, recognize how it relates to them individually, see it in each other, and then actively work on switching those hats, right? Trying to understand each other more and work on their relationship. The only problem with that is that we are dealing with the situation where only one person wants to try. And now I'm coming to the realization that the one person who wants to try doesn't even want to try for the right reasons, right? I don't think that they want to try because they actually love the person. They want to try because they want to keep their title of wife. To the point where Akechi has been absolutely horrible to MM, and she's running around talking about, that's my husband, that's my husband. He ain't texting me back. He ain't answering my calls. He just moved out, but that's my husband. Yeah, girl. Because it makes her feel good to be able to say that. The experts ask them if it's possible to move forward and forgive one another and have better communication. And of course, MM raises her hand first, and she's like, oh, I can commit to that. MM, can you even allow this man to show some type of initiative in the relationship? You're doing the calling. You're doing the texting. You're reaching out to the experts and setting up a conversation so that you guys can resolve things. Damn, give him a chance to even pretend like he wants to be in the relationship. I really wish that she made him answer the question first, because now the experts have to damn near beg him to answer the question because he's just sitting there like, I cannot stand this man. Now the experts are like, Akechi, please tell us, what does MM need to do for you to be able to say yes to that question? We're begging you. Please tell us. And he's still sitting there with that stupid ass smirk until he finally says yes. But he says he needs more understanding, and he needs her to at least desire to see things through his eyes. That's what he needs. And MM is like, you know what, boo? I know that you want me to just be. I know that's what you want, but it's so hard for me. You got to help a girl out, you know. Give me a cheat code. Give me a cheat code so that I know when I'm doing something wrong, okay? Just help me out a little bit, babe. And I'm just shaking my head the entire time, because this is yet another conversation, another expert meeting where MM really feels like they're making some progress, right? She really feels like something was accomplished and that they're about to go home to their spicy ass apartment and everything is going to be all hunky-dory. But girl, we already heard this song before and ain't shit gonna change. It's time to hang it up. Flat screen, okay? Then Dr. Pia tells them that this is not going to work unless they move back into that apartment together. And baby, when MM turned to Akechi and was like, do you want to move back in with me? I lost my shit. He's the one who moved out, MM. You're not even going to let him turn and ask you, hey, can I move back into the apartment? You didn't kick him out. He moved out. So he moved out on your ass, and then you're going to turn around and ask him to move back in? The way I tell y'all almost did not get this video because this episode really pissed me off. And look, I just got to say it. Seeing how MM has been in this conversation, in addition to all of the unresponded to text messages that she's been sending, it comes off as overbearing. It comes off as hella overbearing. And I said this in the previous review, not aggressive. Do not mix my words, not aggressive, but it definitely comes off as overbearing, because if I was Akechi, I would be like, well, damn, can I live? I'm ignoring you for a reason. Why do you keep texting and calling me? You see how much you done pissed me off, MM? You got me here sitting in this chair understanding Akechi just a little bit, but you got me here understanding where Akechi could be coming from based on how much you're doing in this conversation alone. And when Akechi says that he will move back into the apartment, MM is sitting there with a big ass Kool-Aid smile. She like, yeah, my husband is about to move back in. She really thinks that they accomplished something in this sit down. Only for the next scene to be Akechi in his confessional, and he's saying, look, I do not want to move back in. I am not looking forward to it, and I am not excited at all. And guess what? Right after that, baby, the episode is over. And I was like, wait, hold up. Y'all not gonna make Akechi apologize for calling MM an asshole? I would have thought that that's where that conversation would have started, with an apology, with everyone acknowledging that he shouldn't speak to her like that. He shouldn't call her out of her name. And then they can get the ball rolling. Y'all not even going to make him apologize? I beg your motherfucking pardon? Seriously. So this is my first season watching this show. But I feel like the experts have done a poor job with MM and Akechi in particular, because they're talking about communication and emotion. How about we start with respect? He called her an asshole. Y'all should have made him apologize for that shit. But I guess he don't gotta apologize for a damn thing, child. But as y'all can see, this episode pissed me the hell off. I'm sure it pissed y'all off too. And I cannot wait to chat with y'all about it down in the comments. Before you leave, do not forget to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Also, I am reviewing Traitors. That show is so good. Make sure you check out my reviews for that and watch the show. It's really, really good, y'all. Thank you so, so much for watching till the end, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!
Roxiie says